Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am coming to you today to give you another chapter excerpt from the book Unlocked, Being Freed from Your Dysfunctional Prison. So today's chapter excerpt is going to be from chapter 3, Lost a Great Love. I was actually looking through to see if I did this because I felt like I did it, but I have done a few podcasts and I may have actually just read it for one of those because I don't see it. But this is the one that is kind of tugging on me today. So this is the one that I will be reading from. I'm just going to go through a few paragraphs on this, do a little dialogue at the end. Again, this is just a chapter excerpt from the book. I'm just doing some weekly just to give you a snippet, a taste of what the book is about, leading up to the author's Q&A, which will be held on July 26, 2025 at 1 p.m. at the Seminole Heights Branch Library off of Central. So let's dive in, shall we? Have you ever watched someone you love die? Words cannot truly describe how you feel. I watched him die a horrific death from lung cancer. I would help to take care of him when he got sick. Anything to be close to him and not near her. The day that he died is still vivid in my mind. My mommy had left to go to work. I was playing in my room and had gotten hungry. Technically, I was supposed to be cleaning my room. I came downstairs and asked for lunch. The grandmother began to fix my food. It was hot dogs. It's funny how certain things stick out in your memory, like the aroma of the pot boiling water that the hot dogs rested in on the stove. I was hungry and ready to eat, but they were not ready yet. I danced around anxiously and then got scolded by Addie for moving too much. Hey, I was a kid, just saying. Fine, I exclaimed in my head as I walked away. I went to check on my granddaddy in the room she had set up for him alone. The room felt extra cold that day and somewhat dark. The vibe was off. Something was wrong and I knew it, so I stayed close. He was trying to be cheerful for me, but I saw past it to the pain in his eyes. He wanted something to eat and drink. I went to tell the grandmother, but she snapped at me and said he had to wait. I was mad. If I was big enough, I would have fixed it for him. I was only 7 then and definitely not allowed in Addie's kitchen. He was sick and she was not being nice. I heard him coughing, so I went back to check on him. And he was coughing so hard. I started to shake because the look on his face was terrifying. It seemed as if he couldn't breathe. I hurried down the hall from the room to the kitchen to tell Addie. It was not that far of a distance, but it seemed like forever at that point. She said, "Hold on." Now that was the point I wanted to cuss. Honestly, I probably did in my head. I ran back to the room with my granddaddy and the coughing worsened. Then, without warning, he began coughing up blood. It violently rushed from his mouth and his nose. I screamed. Addie came running in to see what had happened while fussing at me. about screaming in the house. Her eyes grew wide in horror at the sight of him violently coughing up blood. She tried to get him to stop, but it kept erupting in a continued, forceful flow. I'm going to stop right there. Ultimately, as you read on in the chapter, it goes on to say of how my granddaddy Viz, ultimately did pass away that day. He had lung cancer from smoking. But being a 7-year-old and watching that, it was horrific. It was traumatizing. It was hard. I had to go get my other granddaddy to come back to help. I didn't know what was going on. But the one thing that I remember, like I said, it's the strangest things that you remember, like the little details that just makes no sense sometimes, but it does make sense. I was talking about how you remember the smell as I was writing this, the smell of the hot dogs in the boiling water. And at the time, it didn't make any sense that even while all that was going on and we were waiting for the ambulance to come, Addie brought me the hot dogs to eat on the porch. I am visibly shaking, visibly crying, and she's telling me to eat a hot dog. And I'm looking at her like, are you serious? Maybe she was trying to create normalcy. Maybe she just didn't know what else to do. Maybe she didn't want to waste her food. I don't know. But I was shaking. I tried to take a couple of bites. Of course, I dropped it. And I got yelled at and cussed out. But the neighbor next door, Miss Jenny, she came to my rescue. I almost thought she was going to go to blows with her because she came to my rescue. But thank God the ambulance had showed up for him. It was thank God for me because I didn't get my butt tore up, but not so much for him because they arrived too late. But even in that, like I said in the book, I'm talking about the loss of a great love, which was my granddaddy, of how he was like a father to me because he was there. He nurtured me. He guided me. He wasn't perfect, but he was present. And a lot of times that's what we need, is someone that is present. And when you have someone in your life that is present and you lose them, the pain is so great. And it's like, how do you get past that? How do you overcome grief? Because you go through the different steps and the different layers of grief. And there's no time limit on grief. There's no time limit. Nobody can say, well, it's been a month, or it's been a year, or 5 years, or 10 years. Everyone deals with grief differently. But that's the thing. You actually have to deal with it. You have to go through the process of the pain and the hurt. Because if you don't and you suppress it, it's just going to come up and erupt again. It's going to stop you from being able to process things because you're putting a lid on it and you're compacting it. And then pretty soon the pressure is going to build up like a pressure cooker and you're going to erupt. And you never know when you're going to erupt or how you're going to erupt. So you have to go through the process of grieving a loss. Now this, I was talking about an actual death, a physical death. But how many know we go through different losses in life? We may lose a job. We may lose a relationship. You know, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a marriage, maybe it's a significant other. You can lose your car. I mean, some people are like, have that with a car. And it's not an idolizing type of thing. You have to be very careful. But that because they've had it for so long, it was reliable. They have memories or different things. Or they can lose their house or whatever. It's a loss. And you have to go through the process of grief, because if you don't, if you wind up having several losses back to back to back, it can affect your mind, it can affect your emotions, it can affect your body, because when we hold on to things, they can cause sickness in our bodies, and abnormal things to happen in our body or our mind, or even how we interact with people. It could be the loss of a pet, whether the pet died or you can no longer keep the pet and you have to give it away, or somebody stole the pet, or whatever it is, something that is dear to you, that means something, and you lose it, that loss, you have to take the time to grieve, to express how you feel, and go through whatever it is that you need to go through, and take your time. Don't take too much time, because you don't want to go into depression. You don't want to wallow in it or anything like that. But take the time that you need to get through the loss. And in here, as I said before, I have reflections at the end of each chapter that gives you some keys, that gives you some tips on how to deal with some of the different traumas that I speak about. And also, once again, I always say Jesus in therapy. You need counseling. You need help. Going to get help, whether it's through a certified life coach, a therapist, a psychiatrist, they're going to ask you those questions. That's going to trigger, that's going to unlock, that's going to bring up those suppressed feelings, those suppressed things, to help you get to that better place, to help get to the root of it, so that you're able to heal and you're able to move forward. So that chapter and some of the other ones we're going to talk about at the author's Q&A. So please, if you have your book, come out. If you haven't gotten your book, I'll leave the link for the Amazon link for you to get your book. If you just want to come out and kind of get an idea of what it is, even if you haven't read the book, still come out and join us. It's going to be, again, July 26, 2025 at 1 p.m. at the Seminole Heights Branch Library off of Central Avenue. I will post the flyer with this video, as well as the link for Amazon for you to come out and get the book. Please come out and join us. And again, my motto is, don't allow the traumas of your past to imprison your future. It's time to get unlocked. Welcome to your journey. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you again next week.